probably already heard of the Pythagorean Theorem, so this will be a pretty quick video. In any right triangle, we use certain words to describe the sides. We call the shorter sides the legs, and we call the longest side the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the longest side because it's directly across from the 90-degree angle, which is the biggest angle. The two legs are the two shorter sides. If we label each of these with a variable, for example, A and B for the legs and C for the hypotenuse, then the Pythagorean theorem is a formula that relates all of those. It says that the square of the legs added together is equal to the square of the longest side. Let's see how we use that. If we know two sides of a right triangle and we don't know the third side, we can use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for it. We use it in the standard arrangement when we're missing the hypotenuse, like in this problem. So let's just fill in. A and B can be either leg. The order does not matter. So we've got 12 squared plus 9 squared, which add up to c squared. We've got to do the exponents first according to the order of operations, and then we add those together. If c squared is equal to 225, then c must be the square root of that, which is 15. Now the square root of 225 is also negative 15. There's actually two solutions. But if you're solving for the length of one side of a triangle, it doesn't make any sense to use the negative solution. So this is equal to 15. Okay? Now, if we're missing one of the legs in a right triangle instead of the hypotenuse, then we need to rearrange the formula. If you take the standard formula and simply subtract one of the legs squared to the other side, then we get this different arrangement of the same formula, which can be used to solve for a missing leg. That's what we're going to use right now. We always start with the hypotenuse squared because it's the largest side, and we subtract one of the legs squared, the known one, and that should give us our unknown leg squared. So multiplying this out, we get 625 minus 121, and that is 504. Now here I have a little bit of a problem. 504 is not a perfect square. So B is simply the square root of 504, and that's the exact answer. You can simplify it a little bit, but if you change it to a decimal, it will have to be rounded off. So be careful not to do that unless your instructions specifically say to round off the answer to the nearest hundredth or tenth, and so on. This is perfectly acceptable as an exact answer. And there's another video about how to simplify it and write it a different way as a more simplified exact answer. But remember not to round it off unless you're told to. And that's the basics of the Pythagorean theorem.